Hey, it's DiMarzo here on Effman Music, and today we're going to talk about how an audio interface works. Now, I've said before, the audio interface is like the central hub of your recording studio. Any sound you create from your guitar or a microphone goes into the audio interface and gets converted into a digital format that the computer can read. Later, the sound processed in the computer gets converted back out of that digital format into voltage that your speakers can use. But how does that work? Converting from an analog guitar or microphone signal to a digital one is a process called sampling. Picture your sound as a little wave of voltage going up and down. Your audio interface takes pictures of where that wave is 44,100 times a second. That number is called the sample rate. Each one of those pictures gets measured and then converted into a number for the computer to read later. Later, after you've edited and mixed and are listening back to your music, your computer does the opposite. It reads back those numbers to the interface, which then uses those numbers to recreate that wave and then push it out to your speakers. This creates the sound that you hear when you press play on your computer. So that's what's happening inside the interface, but what about how to use it? There's a lot of knobs and dials and buttons on there. Let's explain those. First, right next to each input, you'll see a knob. This is the gain knob. It's like a volume knob that decides how much sound to take in from this specific source. If you plug a microphone into here and you know the singer's going to be really quiet, you're probably going to have to turn that gain knob up pretty high. If, on the other hand, you put it right in front of a loud trumpet player, you're probably going to want it all the way at the bottom. Sometimes these gain knobs have a little meter next to them. I know the Scarlet and the Claret, which is what I have, the light will turn red if it gets too loud. So you want to turn this knob until that meter or that light is nice and green or right in the middle of its range. This will make sure your sound isn't too loud that you can't use it or too quiet that it can't be heard. Next, you'll see a weird little switch that says 48V, or sometimes the word phantom. This switch turns on and off the phantom power, which is a special kind of voltage used only for certain microphones. Some microphones and other devices need to be powered by 48 volts. Usually only condenser microphones require this, but there are some exceptions. If your microphone doesn't need this power, it just ignores it, which is why it's called phantom power. It's only there if you need it. That said, I wouldn't leave this on all the time. It does use up extra power, and you really shouldn't have it on when plugging in or unplugging a microphone. Only turn it on after you've plugged in your microphone. After that, you'll probably have a few volume knobs, maybe one for your main speaker output, and one just for the headphone output on the front. This varies a lot from interface to interface, but a lot of them share those common threads. One last switch you might see sometimes is an instrument switch, which is also sometimes called a high Z switch. This is something that should be turned on only when plugging in an electric guitar directly to the interface. This makes sure the impedance and other electrical settings are matched properly so that you can hear your guitar clearly. It can make other signals way too loud though, so only turn this on if you're plugging a guitar or bass directly into the interface. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more videos like this one where we'll be talking about music production and home recording.